They were not supposed to survive the night. The order had been clear, stamped in red, repeated 3 times over encrypted command channels. NO air support. NO exceptions. NO drones. No fast movers. No medevac. No eyes in the sky. And now, deep in the Black Mountains near the border, 8 Navy SEALs lay pinned down in a kill box that hadn't existed on any map. Lieutenant Mark Hale pressed his helmet against the cold shale and tried not to breathe too loud. Every exhale fogged the inside of his visor for a split second before vanishing into the freezing air. Tracer rounds stitched the rocks above them, sparks flying like angry fireflies. Somewhere downslope, an enemy PCAM roared again, chewing through stone. "Bravo 2 is hit," someone shouted over the gunfire. "I'm good, just grazed," came the reply, strained, too fast. Hale counted heads again. 8 still alive. Barely. This was supposed to be a snatch and grab. In and out before dawn. Instead, their exfil route had turned into a funnel of death. Enemy fighters, more than intelligence had promised, better equipped, and terrifyingly patient, had closed around them like a tightening fist. Hale tapped his radio. Static. He switched frequencies. Static again. "Command, this is Viper Actual," he said, forcing calm into his voice. "We are compromised. Multiple enemy elements. Request immediate CAS or ISR." Repeat, requesting. The response came back cold, distant, and final. "Viper Actual, negative on all air. No-fly order is active. You are to remain dark and attempt ground exfil only." Hale closed his eyes for half a second. "No fly," he snapped. "We got wounded. We're surrounded. This isn't a maybe. This is a wipe if we don't get eyes or fire from above." A pause. Then, orders stand. The line went dead. Senior Chief Ryan Cole crawled up beside him, face smeared with dirt and blood that wasn't all his. "They hang up on you too?" "Yeah," Hale muttered. "We're on our own." Cole laughed once, sharp and humorless. "Figures." Another explosion rocked the ridge. Shrapnel rattled down like rain. One of the SEALs screamed, short, cut off. Hale's jaw tightened. He knew that scream. Femur hit. "Maybe worse. Doc," he yelled. The medic crawled through fire and darkness, disappearing behind a boulder as rounds smacked into it. The enemy was probing now, testing, moving closer. They knew the SEALs were hurt. They knew time was on their side. Hale checked his watch. 2:17 hours. If nothing changed by dawn, they'd be overrun. High above them, far beyond where any aircraft was allowed to fly, a woman stared at the same time stamp glowing on her cockpit display. Captain Ava Mercer, callsign Ghost 10, sat alone in the cockpit of her A-10 Thunderbolt II, engines idling low, lights off, flying a shadowed holding pattern that technically did not exist. Her aircraft was invisible to friendly tracking, its transponder dark. Her radio was silent. She was not supposed to be there. The no-fly order had come down hours ago, tied to political negotiations happening in a warm room thousands of miles away. Airspace restrictions, escalation risks, plausible deniability. Ava had acknowledged the order. Then she kept flying, but she'd been an A-10 pilot for 12 years. Afghanistan, Syria, places that blurred together into sand, smoke, and screams over the radio. She knew the sound of men dying. She knew the cadence of desperation that crept into voices when ground units realized the sky wasn't coming. And 20 minutes ago, she'd heard it again. IT hadn't been meant for her. A broken transmission, bleeding through a relay channel she wasn't monitoring anymore. A SEAL lieutenant's voice, tight and controlled, asking, "No," demanding, "Air support." Then silence. Ava's hands tightened on the throttle. She had already broken one rule by staying airborne. Breaking another would end her career. Court-martial, prison, dishonorable discharge. She knew the list by heart. But somewhere below, American operators were bleeding into the dirt. Ghost 10 to self, she murmured, a ritual she'd never spoken out loud before. Make the call. Her sensors were limited with everything dark, but terrain didn't lie. She angled the nose down slightly, letting the moonlight outline the ridges. Her targeting pod flickered to life for a second before she killed it again. Too visible, she switched to passive mode, listening, There was gunfire. Not random. Disciplined bursts. Western weapons answering Eastern ones. Seals. Ava swallowed. Command had said no fly. They hadn't said anything about listening. She keyed her mic, transmitting on a narrow, outdated frequency almost no one used anymore. Unknown ground element, she said softly. This is Ghost 10. If you can hear me, click once. Silence. Then, a faint click. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Click twice if you are friendly U.S. forces. 2 clicks. Weak, but unmistakable. Ava exhaled slowly. Viper Actual, this is Ghost 10. I have you on audio only. I am unofficially overhead. There was a pause so long she thought she'd imagined the connection. Then Hale's voice came back, raw with disbelief. Say again. I'm an A-10, Ava said. I'm not clear to be here, but I can see your terrain, and I can hear your fight. Cole grabbed Hale's arm. That an angel? Hale pressed the radio closer. Ghost 10, we are pinned down. 8 personnel, 2 wounded critical. Enemy closing from south and east. If you're really there, I'm there. Ava cut in. But I can't light up the sky. No gun runs unless absolutely necessary. You need to mark targets verbally. Hale laughed, a broken sound. You're insane. Probably, she said. Talk to me. Minutes stretched into something unreal. Hale described rock formations, tree lines, a dry ravine where muzzle flashes kept blooming. Ava built the battlefield in her mind, layering memory over sound. She flew lower, slower, trusting instinct more than instruments. The first time she broke protocol fully, it was to save Bravo 2. Enemy machine gun, 50 meters upslope from your wounded, Hale said. We can't move him. Ava looked at her altimeter. Too low. Too risky. She armed the cannon anyway. Viper Actual, she said quietly. Cover your ears. The A-10's GU. 8 cannons spoke with the voice of thunder itself. Even firing a short burst felt like tearing the sky open. The recoil shuddered through the airframe. Tracers reached down into the darkness, precise and brutal. The enemy gun went silent on the ground. The SEALs froze, stunned. Cole stared up at the night sky. Holy, she's real. Hale keyed the radio, voice shaking. Ghost 10, you just saved his life. Ava didn't smile. Her warning systems were lighting up. Radar pings. Someone had noticed. I can't stay long, she said. They'll come looking. They already left us for dead, Hale replied. If you go, I won't, Ava said. Not yet. She circled again, lower now, fully committed. Every second she stayed was another nail in her career's coffin. But with each pass, enemy fire thinned. Confusion spread among the fighters below. They hadn't expected the sky to fight back. Then her radio crackled with a new voice. Come. Authority. Ghost 10, this is Air Command. You are violating a direct no-fly order. Turn north immediately. Ava didn't answer. Ghost 10, the voice continued, harder now. Acknowledge. She looked down at the ridge where 8 men were still alive because she'd ignored that order. No, she said simply. Captain Mercer, this will end you. Then log it, Ava replied. Because I'm not done. Below, the SEALs regrouped, dragging their wounded toward a narrow path Ava had spotted. She marked threats with brief, surgical fire, never staying in one place long enough to be tracked. Her fuel gauge dipped lower. Time was running out. Hale's voice came back, steadier now. Ghost 10, if this is the end for you, shut up and move, Ava snapped. I didn't come this far for goodbye. As dawn crept toward the mountains, the fight was far from over, and every powerful system in the region was now hunting the Ghost A-10 pilot who had broken the no-fly order. Dawn came slowly, like it was afraid to look at what had happened during the night. The first line of pale light touched the mountain ridges just as Ava Mercer's fuel warning chimed again. Low, insistent, unforgiving. Her tin shuddered slightly as cold air rolled through the valley, and for the first time since she'd fired the cannon, doubt crept in. Not fear. Calculation. She was deep in restricted airspace. Enemy radar had gone active. Friendly command was no longer pretending not to see her. And 8 SEALs were moving, slowly, painfully, through terrain that wanted them dead. Ghost 10, Hale's voice came through, hoarse but focused. We're approaching the narrow defile you mentioned. Enemy fire has slowed, but we've got movement on the ridge line to the east. Ava leaned forward, scanning with naked eyes more than sensors now. She saw it too, tiny figures, silhouettes against the growing light. Reinforcements. Angry ones. Copy, she said. I see them. Hold position for 10 seconds. 10 seconds, Cole muttered over Hale's shoulder. That's a lifetime. Ava armed rockets this time. No cannon. Too loud, too obvious. She rolled the A-10 into a shallow dive, heart steady, mind quiet in the way it only ever was when everything else fell away. She fired. White smoke streaked down, exploding along the ridgeline with surgical violence. Rocket bodies flew. The survivors scattered, suddenly unsure if the sky itself had turned against them. That on the ground, the SEALs stared in awe. Tell me again, air support was denied, Cole said. Hale didn't reply. He was watching the smoke drift, listening to the quiet that followed. For the first time in hours, there was no incoming fire. Ghost 10, he said softly. Path is clear. Good, Ava replied. Because I'm almost out of time. Her warning panel glowed angry red now. Fuel critical. If she didn't leave soon, she wouldn't leave at all. And Command knew it. Ghost 10, Air Command came back on, the voice colder than before. Last warning. Turn north now, or you'll be intercepted. Ava swallowed. Intercepted meant fighters. Fighters meant radar lock. Radar lock meant she'd be forced down, or worse. Viper actual, she said on the SEAL channel, ignoring command. How long until you reach the extraction point? Hale checked his watch, then looked at the wounded men being carried between operators. Blood soaked their uniforms. Faces were pale, teeth clenched. 30 minutes if we don't get hit again, he said. An hour if we do. Ava closed her eyes for a brief second. She didn't have 30 minutes of fuel, but she had altitude. And one last option. Listen carefully, she said. I'm going to draw them away. Hale siti finit. Negative. You don't have to, I know, Ava said. But I'm going to. She switched frequencies deliberately, broadcasting on an open band, letting enemy sensors hear her, letting friendly command know exactly where she was. Attention all stations, she said calmly. Ghost 10 is departing south. It was a lie. She shoved the throttle forward, climbing hard, exposing herself fully. Radar warnings screamed as locks snapped on her aircraft on the ground. Cole looked up. What the hell is she doing? Hale understood instantly. She's bait. Enemy fire shifted. Units that had been stalking the SEALs turned, weapons angling skyward. Shouts echoed through the valley as fighters repositioned, chasing the ghost they thought was fleeing. Ava felt the A-10 buck as something exploded nearby. Shrapnel peppered the fuselage. A warning light blinked. Minor damage, nothing fatal. Yet, Ghost 10, command barked. You're being tracked by hostile air defense. Eject immediately. No, Ava said. I'm Busse. She rolled left, then right, flying low and fast through terrain that had killed better pilots than her. She knew this aircraft. Every vibration, every complaint in the engine's growl. The A-10 was ugly, stubborn, and hard to kill. Just like her, below, the SEALs moved. With the pressure lifted, they half-carried, half-dragged their wounded through the defile. The mountains still watched them, but the guns were quieter now, confused, divided. Doc, Cole panted. How's Bravo 2? Still breathing, the medic said. That's all I can promise. Hale keyed the radio again, voice tight. Ghost 10, you don't have to be the hero. Ava laughed once. Lieutenant, I'm already in the report as a problem. Might as well earn the title. Her fuel gauge hit empty seconds later. The engine didn't die immediately. It coughed, protested, then steadied on fumes and stubborn engineering. She turned north at last, dropping altitude, disappearing into terrain clutter that confused radar. Missiles searched for her and found nothing but rock and shadow. Then, silence. The A-10 glided, heavy but controlled, toward the edge of friendly airspace. Every second felt stolen out on the ground. The SEALs reached the extraction zone just as the sun broke fully over the mountains that a pair of helicopters thundered in, unauthorized, late but there. The pilots didn't ask questions. They never did. As the wounded were loaded, Hale looked back one last time at the sky. Did she make it? Cole asked quietly. Hale didn't answer. He didn't know. Ava Mercer landed hard. The runway lights blurred as her 10 touched down with barely enough fuel to taxi. Ground crews rushed in, eyes wide at the scorch marks, the damage, the smell of burned metal. She shut the engines down and sat there for a long moment, hands still on the controls. Then the canopy opened. Security police were waiting. S.O. was her commanding officer. Captain Mercer, the colonel said, face unreadable. You're under arrest. Ava nodded. Yes, sir. They escorted her off the tarmac past mechanics who stared like they were watching a ghost walk. No one spoke. No one saluted. She spent the next 12 hours in a bare room with no windows, replaying the night over and over in her head. The sound of the cannon, Hale's voice, the click-click confirmation that it started it all. She wondered if the SEALs had survived. She wondered if it had been worth it. The answer came 3 days later. The door opened. A different officer entered. Older, calm, carrying a folder thick with paper. Captain Mercer, he said. You're free to go. Ava blinked. Sir, he placed the folder on the table. 8 Navy SEALs returned alive, all expected to recover. Thereafter, action reports mention an unidentified A-10 pilot who provided decisive support in violation of standing orders. Ava's throat tightened. The officer continued. Officially, that pilot does not exist. Unofficially, several very senior people owe you their gratitude. What about the charges? Ava asked. The man studied her for a long moment. Your career as you knew it is over. You will never fly combat again. You will never be promoted beyond your current rank. Ava nodded slowly. Understood. But, he added, a hint of something softer in his voice, you will not be punished further. Some rules are written in ink, others in blood. He stood. Dismissed Ghost 10. Months later, Hale stood on a quiet airfield, watching a training squadron take off. His legs still ached in cold weather. Cole walked with a limp that would never fully fade. Ever find out who she was? Cole asked. Hale shook his head. No name, just a call sign in the margins of the report. Ghost 10, Cole said with a grin. Figures. High above them, alone A-10 flew a routine training pattern. No combat load, no glory, just an old pilot and an old aircraft doing what they did best. Ava Mercer watched the ground roll by beneath her wings. She would never be a headline, never be thanked publicly. Officially, she had obeyed orders, but 8 men were alive, and sometimes that was enough.